Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out this little RC car. It's the JJRC Q36, and even though this is advertised as a rock crawler, it's really meant for mostly flat surfaces, and also is advertised as an off-road vehicle. It's kind of really meant for like sidewalks and such. I do drive this around in some small rocks for a little bit, and it does able to manage that, but anything bigger is probably not going to work. This is a 1/26 size RC car, so it is pretty small. As you can see, it pretty much fits in the palm of my hand. So it does have four-wheel drive, so it is able to manage to go through some small rocks because each wheel turns independently. Now it doesn't come with a whole lot. Let me just show you what you get. You get a manual. You get a 400 milliamp hour 2S LiPo with a JST and a balance lead connector. You get a USB charger that charges through the balance lead. And of course, you get the remote itself. It's a pretty nice remote. Obviously it's digital proportional for the steering, so it feels pretty nice. And this thing is very, very quick. So definitely having the good steering is definitely something you want to have. And you get this bag with some spare cotter pins. I'm not exactly sure what these spare parts are for. And then you get a screwdriver. Now it's definitely a lot of fun. It's fast, quick, and if you're in a little park with some sidewalks with some space, it will move really quick, and you'll see that a little bit later here. Very durable. I've used this quite a bit. It gets quite scratched up easily on the bottom here. The polycarbonate top is pretty durable. You can see it's still pretty shiny even though it's been rolling around in the rocks. One of the downsides of this model is that you got these four cotter pins here that hold the top down. You have to take that off every time you want to turn it on and every time you want to change the battery. So let me show you what's inside here. So once you remove the four cotter pins, the spoiler comes off first and then the top just pulls off. Obviously it's a good thing to give you some spares of these cotter pins because I've already lost a few of these. So each wheel has its own shock. And the shocks are not oil filled, they're just spring shocks, and they are height adjustable here in the back with these screws here, and on the system you can adjust the height if you need to, and also adjustable here in the front on these screws here. So the battery fits in here, and you just have to again remove yet another cotter pin to get the battery in and out. And then to power the car, you just plug the balance lead into this port on the side here. And it's actually not powered on until you flip the switch, which is on this side over here. And this unit here is a combo receiver and ESC unit for this little brushed motor here. And so basically it's an all-in-one. And then the steering is done via this small servo that's here, and that will steer the front wheels. So in order to bind this to the transmitter, you first turn it on, and then you go ahead and you turn on the transmitter. Beeps, and we should have it working, and you can see here that the steering is working, and you can see here they'll demonstrate that the steering is proportional. And on the transmitter itself, it has a few things of information, like the battery voltage of the batteries inside the transmitter, for example. Shows you the position of the steering. I never actually looked at this. It wasn't all that particularly useful, and also shows you the throttle position as well. Let me just demonstrate that. So as you pull on the trigger here, the number here for the throttle increases all the way up to 100%. And then you get some trim buttons here, right, left, and forward and backward, and obviously this is your power button. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit of like driving around, and this is surprisingly durable. I crashed it quite a bit. when you drive in really fast and it's going along the ground and you hit like a little tiny bump, it will just take off and it'll start flipping over and just all kinds of crazy stuff will happen. One of the things that will happen to you, and it happened to me quite a bit, was that these little ball joints here will release on a hard impact. And when that happens, obviously the steering won't work or the wheel won't turn. There's multiple ball joints here. There's a ball joint here for the shocks. I think I had this rear shock pop off. They are fairly easy to pop back on. You just have to make sure that you don't lose them. I had actually lost one of these in the rock somewhere, and it took me a little while to dig it out because the parts are really tiny. But yeah, when you do have a pretty hard impact, these little ball joints where these little pieces connect and offer the suspension, they will sometimes pop out in a crash. You just have to pop them back in and then you should be good to go. So one more thing that you guys are probably asking about is the runtime of this. It takes about, I don't know, hour and a half to charge up the 2S LiPo, and the thing just goes and goes and goes. I think I was going around for maybe 10-15 minutes easy and the battery was not even dead. I could have kept on going, just got bored. The the product page says it'll go for more than an hour, but I doubt that's true. One thing that you should be aware of that is this little motor here, the little brush motor here, gets very, very hot. And since this metal is contacting this metal base plate here, this bottom plate gets very, very hot as well. So if you got kids, you should be careful that if they're playing with this for a while, they might get burned. Actually, it can get hot enough to burn somebody, so you should be careful of that. Also, with these brushed motors, the hotter they get, the shorter the lifespan. So I would, suggest and recommend just, driving around for like 10-15 minutes to let the motor cool off a little bit, and then go ahead and keep going, while the battery still is charged. You can probably go and do like 2 or 3 10-minute sessions, no problem. It's just that this motor does get pretty hot, so you should be careful of that. Anyway guys, I'll just leave you a little bit of video footage of this driving around. It's a load of fun. It's very fast. Obviously you're going to have to do this at a small park somewhere with some flat surfaces, sidewalks, etc. Asphalt would be ideal. It does skid around quite easily, but yeah, you can definitely do a lot of interesting stuff with this. Just you can't go in grass, and it's definitely not an off-roader. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.